I spent slightly more than $600 on screenwriting competitions at the end of February. That's a lot of money. I'm making this video because I wish I saw something like this before I decided to part ways with my hard-earned cash. Stick around to the end and I'll explain the approach I'll be using going forward. But let's first start with why I entered so many screenwriting competitions. Honestly, it's because there are so many options. The marketing for these screenwriting competitions are enticing. Subject headings like, "We want to fly you to LA," or "It's your time now." And never mind the big names that they drop that are going to judge the competitions. Having these sorts of industry experts read your screenplay is enough to get anyone excited. So the opportunity behind all of this is definitely a reason why I entered my screenplays to these competitions. But tied very closely to the opportunity was a deadline. I've been writing screenplays on and off since 2016, but this was the year that I decided that I was going to focus and stick to my goal. So deadlines meant that I had to do the work. So I'll give credit where it's due. The competitions I entered all had closing dates within days of each other, and this was the motivation I needed to start the year strong. So because there were so many options, I ended up entering my screenplay to a variety of competitions across multiple companies. I entered the standard feature film screenplay competitions, I entered a career accelerator, and I also entered a variety of pitch competitions across multiple companies. So in terms of deadlines, competitions get 10 out of 10. I guess they could serve a similar purpose to somebody maybe hiring a personal trainer, a consultant, or a coach to hold them accountable. I mean, if you're spending money on something, you're likely to see it through. So even though it was pricey, I stuck to the deadlines and I was amazed how much writing I could get done in a short amount of time. Now, here's what I wish I knew before I entered these competitions, and I'm going to list these points quickly because it feels like a bit of a rant. And like I said, if you're looking for a deadline, competitions are awesome. But here are the negatives. Now, some of these competitions advertise impressive judges, but there's no guarantee that these industry experts are going to see your screenplay for the first few rounds. You may get somebody who is fairly new to the world of screenwriting judging the first few rounds of your work. You may get somebody reading your screenplay who's having a bad day, someone who doesn't enjoy your voice, or you may just get somebody who is overloaded with the amount of screenplays that they have to read that they just skim through yours. Oh, and I've seen this too. This is my least favorite. You may have somebody read your screenplay who is clearly on a high horse, ignoring everything that you're trying to do with your screenplay, giving you feedback on their vision and how you should rewrite your screenplay to match their vision. All of this said, you may also get somebody who is completely in tune with your vision. You could get a reader that not only understands what it is that you're trying to do, but their feedback could build on your story, making it better, but also providing a new energy, getting you pumped to rework your screenplay to get it to the next level. I mean, you can even get a combination of great and awful feedback all in the same competition as you progress through different rounds. Or you could do incredibly well in one competition and have that exact same screenplay not even make it through the first round of another competition. And just when you think you've heard it all, you haven't, because there are times when you even get no feedback. Yes, for some competitions, feedback isn't an option. That's the worst. No, the worst is still that reader who tries to write through you, making you change your entire screenplay to match their vision. That's the worst. I digress. But my point here is that for most competitions, and yes, there are some exceptions, but it seems that competitions are a space where you need to pay to play. Majorities of these companies say that you are not penalized if you do not pay for additional feedback. But there's nothing more confusing than not opting for feedback and then having no idea why it is that your screenplay is progressing or isn't progressing in these competitions. The one competition I entered this year, I didn't select the feedback option, and I made it all the way to the semi-finals. It was confusing because I don't know why it made it to the semi-finals. I'm grateful, but it never made it to the finals, and I also don't know why. If anybody from a screenwriting competition company is watching this, I think it could be a nice idea to set through the results of how the screenplays were scored and then offer additional feedback as an add-on. The fact that we have to pay extra for our scores is kind of odd. I feel that I would be more inclined to re-enter some competitions if there was just better communication from the companies. I understand paying for feedback, but scoring? Come on guys, surely this cost can be covered in the initial fee that we pay when we enter the screenwriting competition in the first place. So the point of these competitions is to meet with representation or executives in the industry. And even though I didn't make it past the first round in some competitions, I made it to the semi-finals in another competition, but I also got the ultimate goal of receiving a recommend in another competition. Yay! This was a dream come true mixed with unbelievably helpful feedback. But even though I reached my ultimate goal of getting to the point where my screenplay would be released into the industry, being marketed on my behalf, I could have never predicted the writer's strike to happen and then everything to be put on pause. Okay, rewind a second. My ultimate goal is actually to sell the screenplay. I digress. But my point here is that you could even win a competition and have nothing happen due to factors out of your control and out of the competition company's control as well. But let's take a step back and get some perspective. Depending how you look at it, I could have spent $600 on accountability, or I could have gambled $600 on a dream. That's scary. But here's how I look at it and plan for it. Every month I have a certain amount of money that goes off my account into a screenwriting fund. Now this fund is for all of my screenwriting expenses, whether it's competitions, consultations, whatever expenses I have relating to screenwriting. This is an amount of money I have saved up and allocated for screenwriting. And I'm mentioning this not as financial advice, but I have seen people who have a big dream and then they bet on it and they go into debt as a result. So even though I did spend a lot of money, and going back, I probably would have done a lot differently. But my point is that I did save for it and I didn't go into debt. And then as the saying goes, sometimes you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. I guess if I didn't try entering so many different competitions from a variety of companies, I would have never landed on the company that saw my screenplay get that recommend, which will see my screenplay being marketed after the writer's strike is over. Like I said just now, the goal is to sell my screenplay. And if I do, then it may have been $600 well spent. Now, you've probably picked up that I haven't named any companies, and there's a reason behind that, because what might have been a complete miss for me could be a hit for you. However, once my journey is wrapped up with the company who is likely to market my screenplay once the writer's strike is over, then I might shed a bit more light on that company, because the experience I had there has been like nothing I've experienced before. The feedback was incredible. The communication was incredible. Overall, it's just been a wonderful experience, but I don't want to jump the gun. I'm going to let the whole experience ride out, and then I will maybe shed some light on them. So subscribe for updates. Anyway, at the start of the video, I did mention how my approach has changed, and I will share what I will be doing going forward. And the first thing is that I don't feel like I need to pay for screenwriting competitions to get the deadlines I need in order to get to work on my screenplays. And I'm also not putting my hope in these screenwriting competitions to help me break into the industry. If they work for you, go for it. But here's what has been working for me. I dedicate a small amount of time to work on my screenplay 4 days a week. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to join me for a month of dedicating 1 hour a day, 4 days a week to work on your screenplay. Maybe we could do a fun challenge together of writing a screenplay in a month. Let me know down below if this is something you'd be interested in joining. Sometimes I'll create challenges where I will spend more than an hour 4 days a week, but typically it's around 1 to 2 hours 4 days a week that I work on my screenplay. And the first thing that I do is I form an outline. So once I've got an outline, I will then book a consultation with an industry expert, and then we will go through my outline, and she will then point out any holes I have in my story and provide me with feedback that will help me re-outline my story and get it to a place where I am ready to jump into writing the first draft of my screenplay. So in the past, to get some motivation to get that first draft out quickly, I would enter a screenwriting competition that would serve as my deadline. But these days, I don't do that anymore. What I now do is I have a table read. So I will set a deadline. I will invite a whole bunch of friends, family, or actors over. And that is a scary enough deadline, knowing that people are coming over and they're going to be reading my screenplay. So I want to get that first draft to the best place that it can possibly be before I share it with others. After the table read, I will present my actors with a little sheet of paper that has some questions on it. Basically, I just want to find out if there were any parts of the story that they didn't understand. And after reviewing their feedback, I will go back and attempt to write my second draft. And once I have my second draft completed, I'll then book another session with my industry expert, and we will then go through the second draft of my screenplay. I'll get more feedback on how I can tweak it, and then I'll go back and write another draft. Personally, I found that I enjoy working with one person. So having one screenplay consultant giving me feedback on my screenplay is far better than inviting a whole bunch of different voices to pass judgment on my screenplay. So once my screenplay gets to the point where it is ready to be let loose in the world, I feel that the appropriate next step is to get it in front of decision makers, whether that's representation, an executive, producer. But this is a space where I am still embracing that hectic learning curve. There are companies that help with screenwriters building a brand, and I am going to be looking into this and investigating the next steps with regards to marketing myself to decision makers, and I will be sharing that. So subscribe if you would like to see more of this part in my journey. So as you can see, my focus has changed completely. Where I originally relied on competitions, and now rely on myself to get my screenplay to the best place it can possibly be, and then get it in front of the right eyes myself. It's a new approach, but more so than that, I'm thrilled that I finally started focusing on my craft without needing validation from people in the competition circuits. This has been empowering. So I hope this video has been valuable to you, and if it has, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content from me in the future. I'll leave a video for you in the end screen that I think you'll enjoy if you enjoyed this one. So see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye bye.